gentleman, and I recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Gaetz, and he'll be followed by Mr. Moore, and in the hole, Ms. Boebert.
Joe Manchin for being a stopgap against what would have otherwise been catastrophic spending. I believe if you are in the role you should be in right now, serving on the Federal Reserve, you could be one of those stopgaps to stop the Fed from continuing to blow calls and make bad decisions. What's the right path going forward with the Fed to deal with the inflationary conditions? Because I noticed that wasn't in your 4-point plan.
Well, that's a great question. And I want to just make one side point, if I may, about what you were just talking about. You're the United States, you're members of the United States Congress. What you just said about this SEC rule is absolutely true. You make the laws. You make the laws. These people at the SEC do not make the laws. I hope when you take the majority, you start making the laws and start rescinding these crazy rules that are made by nobody elected these people. I mean, it's just outrageous. This is an unconstitutional fourth branch of government. You are the legislative branch. So take your responsibility. I mean, I'm talking about Congress in general. Take your legislative responsibility seriously.
So, since you're not a philosopher,
okay, sorry. I mean, I had to get it off my chest. You can tell what was your question?
My question is, what should the Fed be doing?
I'm just going to make one quick comment on it. The Fed has been way, way behind on the curve. I'm amazed that a Federal Reserve chairman who allowed our inflation rate to go up to 9% was just reappointed with an 80-20 vote. I mean, that's shocking to me. I mean, if an NFL team goes 2-14, you don't rehire the coach for another 4 years. I'll just say one quick thing on this. I think that the appropriate thing for the Fed to do right now, because obviously they have to pull out some of these trillions of dollars of spending, I want to see the Fed reduce its balance sheet. The Fed balance sheet is now $8 trillion. Rather than raising interest rates, because the mortgage rate has gone from 3 to 6% in 15 months. Why don't they sell off these assets? That would pull inflation down without raising interest rates.
Colorado Governor Jared Polis gave an interview on Friday in which he offered President Biden some advice on inflation. He said the best thing the country could do to reduce inflation is to revive the failed Obama attempted policy of amnesty for the parents of children who have birthright citizenship. I think it's deferred action for the parents of American children. Is a mass amnesty program for millions and millions of Americans a reasonable first step to reduce inflation?
No, I'm not in favor of that, but I do think we do need more immigrant workers in this country, no question about it. We need more people who are willing to work. And one of the mistakes that you all made in Congress, again, I'm talking about Congress in general, was the massive increase in welfare. We have eviscerated. I was here in 1995 when Republicans took over Congress, and we passed 3 times welfare reform, work requirements for welfare. We said, we're going to have a safety net, but we're going to require people to work for it. Bill Clinton vetoed that bill twice. The third time, to his credit, he signed that bill. That was one of the most successful social welfare changes of the last 50 years, welfare reform. Virtually every single element of welfare reform has been eviscerated by Obama and by Biden. I hope, again, when you all take over in January, that you reinstate work requirements for welfare.
When President Biden was in Long Beach recently, he described inflation as the Putin tax.
As the what?
The Putin tax.
Yeah.
Is that a fair characterization?
No, 80% of the increase in inflation happened before Putin invaded. Now, yes, it is true that Putin's invasion of Russia, and the reduction in oil supply has increased inflation, but I would say 75 to 80% of this is a result of Biden policies.
And particularly the printing of money and the massive spending, right? I mean, if we get control over the House, we will not have unified control over the government. Joe Biden will be president. Is the best thing we can do to stop this flow of reckless, unending spending? Is there anything more important we can do than just shutting off the spigot?
Well, there's also, look, you have to cut spending, no question about it. And by the way, people, I talk to people all over the country. They realize that Biden is spending way too much money, but there is a skepticism that when Republicans take over, that you'll do something about that problem. You
Yeah, as
know?
Rand
and
Paul
it's a healthy
says,
skepticism.
when
frankly.
Democrats are in charge, the Republicans are the conservative party, and when Republicans are in charge, there is no conservative party. So let's hope we are able to defy that history. I yield back.
And now recognize